Welcome to Montana Language Services Language Access Staff Training. But wait, we have some bilingual staff members, and we get volunteers and family members who offer to interpret. What about them? What about other types of interpreters? It's important to factor in other available language tools into your decision-making process. Bilingual staff, volunteers, family members. Now let's dive deeper into all these methods and how to decide when these other types of interpretation resources should and shouldn't be leveraged. Bilingual staff members are a fantastic tool for meaningful language access within your organization, especially if their language skills match the demand for your location. And oftentimes they're the quickest on-site language service around, so it's natural to lean on them for language access. If your organization wishes to use bilingual staff members, it's important first and foremost to evaluate their language proficiency for the interpretation requirements, whether that's front desk Spanish or full-on medical or legal vocabulary. Bilingual staff members should always complete an interpreter training to fully understand the role boundaries between interpretation and providing services directly. If the bilingual staff member is approved for interpretation or language assistance in your organization, it should be added into their job description for appropriate compensation. Very often, we see staff members inadvertently expected to carry the burden for all the language access for the entire organization, without setting up the appropriate backup systems or compensation for that job skill. Bilingual volunteers are also great tools for meaningful language access within your organization, depending on the vocabulary requirements. It's tempting to use volunteers when they are at no cost to your organization's budget, but volunteers should be treated with the same standards as bilingual staff members and not taken advantage of. It's important to evaluate their language proficiency realistically and make sure they fully understand the ethical standards of their role in terms of accuracy, confidentiality, and neutrality. It is very, very common for LEPs to bring their English-speaking family member or friend to interpret for them. Family members who have high language proficiency and understand their role to be neutral can be used in low-risk situations. However, family members should be avoided if you feel incapable of evaluating their language skill and for all situations involving medical or legal information or decisions. It is vital that family or friends are never used in situations involving domestic violence or sexual assault, as this can perpetuate uneven power dynamics and completely distort the accurate flow of information between you and the LEP. It is almost never appropriate to use children or minors as interpreters. You can ask any first-generation immigrant and they will tell you they grew up interpreting for their parents. This is a great training tool for their bilingualism, but for most situations it is unethical and even dangerous to use children as interpreters. Not only are they incapable of being impartial, and it puts them in a position of brokering information for their parents, but they most likely will not have the specific medical or legal vocabulary required for the interactions. I always say that children should only be used for the most meaningless things that carry zero weight of responsibility if you can help it, such as, "Can you pass the salt?" If the LEP asks their minor child to call to make an appointment, that's fine, but be aware of the position that puts them in and keep the conversation to scheduling details only. If they try to push the conversation into more detail, you can say you'd prefer to wait to discuss that until their appointment. You can also reassure them that you will provide an interpreter at no cost to them.